When I went away to university, the guy I was dating and I agreed to remain in a relationship and go long distance. Instead, he slept with my sister. They fell pregnant and ended up getting married. It was painful at the time, but it's not like he was the love of my life. I did, however, tell him that I wanted nothing to do with him ever again. I attended their wedding, but only as a guest. I would not be in the wedding party and refused to be in any pictures with him. I eventually forgave my sister, but have held strong on not interacting with him. I do not go to their house, and he is not welcome in mine. My parents have always understood my position and have never asked me to change. I attend family gatherings at their home. I just pretend that he does not exist. Well, recently, him and my sister have had a run of bad luck and ended up having to vacate their home for at least 6 weeks. They need a place to stay, and my boyfriend and I have room in our house. My sister and my parents called me to see if they could stay with me. I talked it over with my boyfriend, and we agreed under certain conditions. That they keep our home as clean as they found it every day, that they respect the privacy of our bedroom, bathroom, and office, and lastly, that we would only put up my sister and my nephews. I do not want him in my home. He is welcome to couch surf with his friends and family. My parents and sister think that I'm being unreasonable to separate them in this time of need. I said that they were welcome to stay together elsewhere. I even offered them $1,000 to go towards a motel or something. My brother-in-law is currently sleeping on my parents' hide-a-bed and is unhappy. I keep hearing from my parents about him complaining about my attitude. I think that I am helping enough, and it is not unreasonable of me to feel the way that I do. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You're already helping them enough, and they have zero room to complain. They should be grateful that you're allowing your sister and nephews to stay with you. You're the a-hole. There's more going on than you realize, and it comes down to the fact that you need to take a firm stance on the whole matter because currently you're sending all your family mixed signals. Either cut your sister off for what she did and make it known to the family that you'll never speak with her again. No exceptions, not even holidays and celebrations. Or just forgive her and her husband. The problem you're not seeing is that attending family events while ignoring your brother-in-law is confusing and uncomfortable for everyone else. I'm willing to bet they feel like they're walking on eggshells when it comes to certain situations or discussion topics, and it's probably creating tension in the room that they'd all prefer to do without. Normally, I'd say they need to respect your wishes, but considering the situation you're putting them in, I understand why they'd like to solve things between you and are taking this opportunity to see if any reconciliation is possible. Do all of them a favor and go officially no contact with your sister and your brother-in-law. This will be way easier on your family than the current mess of an atmosphere you're creating at every family gathering. Don't get me wrong, your sister and brother-in-law are major a-holes for cheating on you, but now you need to make a firm decision and stop sitting on the fence with halfway solutions. Not the a-hole. Your house, your rules. You have acted mature in all of this, even though you were the wronged party. The fact you're taking in your sister and nephews, even though she was party to the betrayal, is actually really big of you. He has no right to complain. He made his bed, now he has to lie in it. Why can't they go and stay with relatives on his side of the family? If they are so keen to be with each other, why does it have to be your house? That's kinda cruel. I have a daughter, Daisy, age 16 from my former marriage. Currently, I'm married to my husband Leo, and he has 2 daughters, Charlotte, age 18, and Abigail, age 16. The girls would normally get along, although sometimes they'd get into some beef with each other over simple stuff. Leo has been in charge of dropping off, picking up the girls at school. The 3 of them now attend the same school after Daisy agreed to move. We almost had no problems, till my ex-husband bought his new car. He started showing up to the school a few days a week, and Daisy would get in the car with him, and he'd drive her home. It started happening more frequently. The other girls noticed, and felt that it was unfair that Daisy gets to ride in a new and quite frankly luxury car, while they ride in a Honda. I obviously couldn't ask my ex-husband to pick up the other 2 girls, but asked him to be a little considerate of what my stepdaughters felt, and stop picking up Daisy from school and just let her ride with her stepsisters. He was like, "Take this up with Daisy," which I did, and I was surprised by her response. She told me she loves riding in her dad's car instead of that old Honda Leo drives, and said it wasn't her fault her stepsisters are feeling jealous. I asked her to be a little more considerate of how the girls feel, especially with friends noticing, but she rudely said it wasn't her problem. I ended up deciding to ban her from getting in that car, and told her there would be consequences if she does. She threw a fit, saying it was unfair, but I said that I was making sure all girls were being treated equally. She yelled at me, and refused to speak to me after that. Leo and the girls are no longer upset, but Daisy's dad's been in my face about how wrong this is. But I told him I wanted all girls to be equal, and this was the only way to prevent jealousy and drama. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Probably the only one thinking that. The dad is the a-hole. To me, it sounds like the dad is a braggart. If I'm getting it right, he started picking her up when he got the new car, but not before that. It doesn't sound like the daughter wants to spend time with dad. She wants to be seen in the luxury car. Why doesn't dad pick up all three of them? Why do there have to be 2 rides home after school? This is a big show-off. You're the a-hole. The stepdaughters get to live with their dad and get driven to and from school by him. Your daughter isn't being a spoiled, self-centered brat and demanding everyone walks to and from school to make it fair. Why aren't you sticking up for your daughter and demanding her stepsisters give up stuff they enjoy that she doesn't get? Why don't you force your husband to leave the house in the morning and night so your stepdaughter doesn't feel bad about her stepsisters getting to eat breakfast and dinner with their dad when she doesn't get to do the same thing with her dad? The oldest stepdaughter is about to leave for college. Don't you think you should force her to wait 2 years so that she doesn't get to have an experience your daughter doesn't get to have? Why is your daughter the only one who has to sacrifice things that make her happy? Good luck trying to punish her for getting a ride home from her dad. I'm sure family court will love that. You're about to lose custody of your daughter and not get invited to her wedding if you keep up this BS. You're the a-hole. They are not equal. Your daughters are individual people with different parents and different circumstances. This is how the real world works. Not everyone has the same experiences, and you cannot and should not shelter them, your stepdaughters, this way. How are they ever going to learn to deal with things like this if they never get to experience it? If you never let your child get hurt, then the first time they stub a toe, it's the most horrific pain in the world, because they have no perspective, no experience with pain. It's best that your child learn how to deal with these small disappointments now, so that they learn the skills to deal with the bigger disappointments later on. I, 28 female, have been married to my husband 30 for 5 years, together for 9. We have an 8-year-old son and just found out that I'm pregnant. My husband and I ran into my husband's ex-girlfriend Kelly and her children at a fireworks show on New Year's. I'm not hung up on a teenage relationship, but they had a pretty serious relationship for children. They were together ages 13 to 16. At 15, Kelly got pregnant by my husband and she had a stillborn. A few months later, she got pregnant again, told him it was his. My husband worked religiously and almost failed out of school. When the baby was born and he was the one with her there, the baby came out very different skin tones than them, and my husband's parents forced a DNA test, and the baby was not my husband's. This obviously caused severe trust issues in my husband, and the stillborn itself is a very big emotional scar for him. We celebrate every year for a sleeping baby. After we got home from the fireworks show, my husband broke down in my arms, crying how he should have a 14-year-old daughter, and how his heart aches, and how they had picked out names for the second baby, and he thought it was his chance to redeem himself, and how stupid he felt because of the effort he put in. He cried for hours, and then went and sat in our son's room and watched him sleep. My husband is not a man to express his sadness. This broke my heart. The next day, my husband showed me Kelly had messaged him on Facebook, asking if they could reconnect and get some lunch. I asked my husband if it was okay if I messaged her, and he said it was. So I simply just said, "Hi Kelly, please do not message my husband. We aren't interested in lunch or communicating." Which she responded back, calling me an a-hole, and saying her and my husband have history I could never amount to, and I had no right to stop her from talking to him because they shared the same loss that I would never know. I don't think I'm the a-hole because she hurt my husband in unimaginable ways that still hurt him to this day. I might be though, because they did go through something together that I was not a part of. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your husband is 30. This happened when he was 15. The second baby with his ex was his chance to redeem himself? What the heck is that? And why is the child he had with you and has loved and raised for 8 years not redemption? He does not need contact with his ex. That's just trouble. He needs professional help. I highly encourage him to see a counselor who can work with him on this. Not the a-hole. Your husband's ex has no right to talk to you like that. She lied and tried to fool her ex-boyfriend, your husband, into thinking the kid she's carrying is his. She cheated. She lost him. Block her and move on. She's all kinds of toxic and shouldn't be trusted ever again. Not the a-hole. Kelly is the a-hole because firstly, she cheated on your husband when they were still dating, then told him he was the father, and your husband, being the good man he is, he worked until he almost failed out of school, only to find out that the child was not his. So he almost threw away his future for a woman who cheated on him. Secondly, I don't think Kelly has any right to call your husband and say things like she did because, after all, he married you and not her. Lastly, cut off Kelly from all parts of your life. And I think your husband should too, because staying in contact with her might just cause unnecessary drama. My husband and I have a lot of love for each other. We have the same sense of humor, and we love to play video games together and watch horror movies. We're basically best friends who are deeply in love. However, for the past 10 months or so, I haven't felt like a priority in the relationship. Despite me regularly communicating with him that I wish he'd take me on more dates, get me flowers, or write me letters, he doesn't do anything. My love language is quality time, and I could care less if the date costs money or not. I would be over the moon if he planned a picnic with me, a walk in our neighborhood, or we could even build a fort in the living room. All that matters to me is that he cares to even plan something with me. I've talked to him about this for months, and at one point, it brought me to tears, thinking about how little effort he put into just showing me any bit of love. I would also be happy with flowers that are free, hand-picked, in the back communal yard. But although I've told him this, he hasn't bought me flowers in almost a year, and I love flowers. To make matters worse, aside from him never making plans with me, never doing anything romantic or thoughtful for me, he is a slob around the house. It's like he expects me to do all the housework. We both have our own jobs in the service industry, so I'm not a stay-at-home wife. He does make more money, $300 to $400 per shift, but he lucked out with a bartending job and I'm a server at a restaurant. Yet I'm cleaning the dishes, the bathroom, the laundry, etc. He will leave dirty underwear and socks on the living room floor and won't change the cat boxes unless I beg him to. Once again, I have talked to him endlessly about not feeling helped out around the house, and nothing changes. He just sits at his computer all day playing video games. And I love video games, but even I am annoyed at this point. Recently, I began considering if this relationship was worth continuing since my voiced concerns had been so uncared for. However, I noticed that he was picking up a lot more shifts at his work and hyping me up for Christmas. I thought that maybe he was finally planning on buying me an actual wedding ring. We've been married for a year, and I only have a $20 ring that doesn't fit me. He had also been showing me pictures of rings a few months ago, so I got a bit excited thinking he was going to finally show me a bit of appreciation and commitment. But when I opened my gifts from him, it was some pajamas, a notebook, a face mask, and some plugins for my doll. I use Logic Pro 10 to make music. The plugins are awesome, don't get me wrong, but I kind of felt bummed that I still didn't have a ring, or even something to really show, hey, sorry I haven't been trying at all in this relationship for almost a year. Here's a dope gift. I don't know, I'm just confused. I am still incredibly grateful for getting any gift at all, but I think a lot of my mixed emotions are stemming from his overall neglect of the relationship. Please let me know what you think. Not the a-hole. You didn't sign up to be this man's mom, but you are. Dirty underwear in the living room? A 10-year-old knows better than that. This will never change if you let him walk all over you. He knows you crave affection and will not give it. Run. Not the a-hole. He's your best friend, but are you his? It sounds like he locked you down, married you, and sees you as a bang maid. It's almost a relationship of convenience for him. You have the same interests as he does. You have communicated time and time again that you aren't being valued, and he needs to put in some effort to your relationship. He has refused. Actions speak volumes. If you're already questioning the marriage, then that is a huge sign to yourself that this relationship isn't working for you. At some point, you have to put yourself first rather than continue to give people chances they aren't willing to take. I suggest you bring up couples therapy if you yourself want to try one last time to communicate with him. Hopefully, he will want to go, and a third party will open his eyes if he is willing to actually listen for once. Not the a-hole, but I think this is clearly bigger than the gifts he got you for Christmas. That was just kind of rubbing salt in the already opened wound, you know? The fact that you have expressed how you have felt and what he could do to improve things has yielded absolutely no results, no change, nothing, is absolutely concerning. I would suggest couples counseling, but if he has not even done the bare minimum to improve the relationship after you explicitly spelled out for him how it could improve, I'd be shocked if he actually gave counseling a fair shot. It might do you some good to take some time to yourself to really think about if this relationship is one you want to continue to be in. My husband got our former friend pregnant while we were separated, so now he has a 7-month-old daughter. He doesn't plan to be involved in her life, but he's currently working with a lawyer to establish paternity, because I'm forcing him to do it. The girl's mother asked me if I want to meet her and introduce our 3-year-old son to his little sister, but I've said no. My husband's family on his mother's side have been very accepting of the baby and her mother, so they've been pressuring me to meet her since she's technically my stepdaughter, and they think I need to be willing to help foster a relationship between her and my son, as we all know my husband isn't going to do it. I was upset, so I told them my son would never have a relationship with her, and I wouldn't ever meet her because they kept pressuring me to. Now everybody thinks I'm some awful bee who hates a baby when I don't. It also doesn't help that my husband has cut off financial help to that side of his family because they made me cry, which has only made them hate me more. We had a good relationship before all of this, so I feel like crap, and I'm wondering if I'm an a-hole. Not the a-hole. Sounds like you're getting blamed for a lot of your husband's poor choices. I feel for the baby, but that's not your responsibility. Not the a-hole. You don't have to accept your husband's side kid. I think your son would like to have a relationship with his half-sister in the future, but it should be solely your husband's responsibility to make sure that the kids spend time together, not yours. OP doesn't have to accept her husband's side kid, but OP needs to accept that her husband has another kid and that her son has a sibling. That baby exists whether OP wants to acknowledge it or not. And that baby is going to be a part of her extended family, especially given her in-laws are accepting of the baby. OP is trying to act like the baby is some minor inconvenience that she can just ignore. OP and her husband are both trash. Also, given the comments OP made about her husband's financial decisions, I wonder if him being well off has something to do with why she is staying.